What is up, everybody? This is Anthony with VR 365. What is going on? Today is Sunday. It is June 2nd. It is 1:30 p.m. and YouTube is dead. Yes, we are recording this offline. Oh my God. There's no chat. There's nobody. No one is watching this currently. 2 people are watching this. Me and Chris Richardson. That is it. Yeah, so you guys probably know that on Sunday, YouTube died. And basically everybody had to move on with their lives. And so what we're doing now is we decided to improvise because I was thinking, man, Chris has a set, he's got some stuff set up here. He's got a good microphone. He's ready to go. We got to do this thing. We got to record some kind of a little interview, and then I could upload it later. And then we did our part for the day. We did our Sunday service. So that's kind of what it's all about. So this window that you guys are looking at right here, I created this in about 5 minutes. Actually, probably like 2 minutes, really. And it's not very fancy. I don't have a setup that is designed for this, but you know what? We did the best that we could do in short order. Chris Richardson, what is the latest, bro?
Hey, Anthony. It's Questmas.
Yeah, this is like the 20th day of Questmas. I don't know how many days has it been.
It's been a minute, and I love every minute of it since the 21st, and we're now into the next month. So,
yeah. It is. It's been Questmas for a while. So, actually, why don't we start off there? Let me turn this trailer down a little bit because I definitely don't want to have that too loud. And I should probably change the trailer. Actually, speaking of that, so let's put on something else over there. Hold on one second.
I think.
Oh, go ahead. What were you saying?
I don't know that if my screen is what's being recorded, or
No.
all
It's,
showed
yeah,
up.
yeah.
Okay,
It's just.
you're good.
Yeah, we're all good. Okay, so Chris, why don't I ask you this? So, Oculus Day 2019, of course, was May 21st, a historical day in the history of VR gaming. And the question is, where were you and what were you doing? Did you have stuff that was being delivered to you, or did you drive out and go somewhere to get packages, or how did it all shake out?
It shook out that I was actually visiting my mother in Massachusetts. She lives in Lowell, and I knew that Lowell is very close to New Hampshire. So when it didn't launch the day that we thought it was going to launch, I went down to Best Buy to pick up my Quest at F8 on F8 day, and all they had was the display up. I immediately put the thing on order at Best Buy, but I made the order for the New Hampshire Best Buy. And the reason for that is no sales tax in New Hampshire, baby. Another 10% off. So that on top of the fact that Best Buy gave me a 10% birthday discount, woo, 20% off.
Wow. So you really came up on that.
Yep.
So you got a Quest, but did you get a Rift S too?
I did.
Yeah.
I ordered both at the same time. I think that was your problem. Like, I don't think they stocked much in the Rift S department. If you didn't order it, they didn't know what it was and they didn't care. So, like, they sent me notifications saying, hey, your Quest is ready to pick up. Hey, your Rift S is ready to pick up. I actually got it at midnight. I was like, oh, is this place open 24 hours? And I checked, and it was like, no, they had closed at 10, but they sent the notifications out at midnight. So had to wait until the store opened the next day to go pick them up. But boom, there they were.
Okay. And so I imagine you've been screwing around with both of them for the last 15 days or whatever it's been that we've had these things. Why don't we start with the Quest first? So I know part of the thing that you've been into is like the backpack PC thing. You've mentioned a number of times that one of your motivations for all of that is that you want to show VR to other people and you want to bring it to them. It's easier to just say, I'll just bring it straight up to your house. You don't have to lift a finger. I can come right over to your house. I can give you a nice VR gaming demo. Now you got an Oculus Quest. You have a Rift S as well that works great with laptops, and that's a whole nother story. But was it really nice to get this portable Quest? I'm sure that it makes it a lot easier for you if you just want to take that somewhere and show some people.
It's fantastic. It's so much better than I actually expected it to be. I finally had time to run Vader Immortal this morning. I see the trailer going on up there. I for some reason, like, I wanted to put aside some time and really invest myself into this, knowing that it was a short experience. I didn't want to be, interrupted or disturbed. So 5 o'clock this morning, it was my Vader time.
Oh, really? Did you run through the whole thing?
Nope. I got just past. I just stole a skiff with trying not to give anything away, but I got a good chunk into it and was loving it to death. Like, I'm a big fan of The Void. That Shadows of Secrets of the Empire, that experience that you can go to, a location-based experience that they have. And this is actually tied to that. And this is like taking that experience home. The only thing you're not getting are the one-to-one physical items in the world. So, like, a door isn't actually there, a button isn't physically there that you can push. But everything else about it, in fact, is a little more interactive. The fact that you can climb ladders and various other interactions that you have in the game. It's far more of a game than an experience, it has far more game aspects than I expected it to have. And I'm loving the experience so far. Plus, it has that lightsaber option, so you can go and mess around in it regardless after you're finished the little experience there.
Yeah, I haven't done that part yet, the little lightsaber thing.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I haven't gone back. I did the whole entire experience, and I thought it was very good, but I haven't gone back in. I haven't tried any of, like, the little Jedi dojo or whatever they got, so I'll have to check that out as well.
Did you do it in one sitting?
Yeah, I basically, like I said, okay, I had a full hour of time, and I'm like, okay, I'm going to do the Vader Immortal thing. And so I went through the whole entire thing. And, speaking of doing it in one sitting, one of the issues I do have with the Oculus Quest, like, I love the Oculus Quest. I think it's such an incredible device, and it does so many things so magically. I really love it, man. I've got so many games on it. I'm super blessed because, like, VR Roundtable, like, we've received a lot of game keys over the course of time that we've been doing VR Roundtable, and so we've got a lot of cross buys and stuff. So I got a lot of games I can screw around with in there, and it's just a beautiful, wonderful thing. But I can only use it for about 40 minutes, and then it's just, I can't do it any longer. And I know what you're probably going to say is, like, Anthony, you probably aren't putting it on your head right, or you're probably not doing something right. But I've listened to all of the different advice on how you should do this. And the main thing is that the back part of it, you just want to make sure that it's really on the back part of your head. And it's cupping that back part there so that it maintains it up here and it's not going to wiggle around. And it's going to be solidly there, and you got to get it. And so I make sure to get the back part right really good, but it just doesn't seem to matter when right around when I get to like 35, 40, 45 minutes, I pretty much got to get out of there.
Did you have that problem with the Rift? Was it the same?
It was a different problem with the Rift. The Rift is also a situation where after a while it does start to hurt. But for me, what the Rift does is it kind of pinches me like right here. And I don't get that problem with the Quest. The Rift, I could play for an hour and a half. I've done it. It's kind of uncomfortable, but the Quest is a different animal altogether in terms of comfort. And, the number one question I have is, Chris, there's got to be somebody out there, right, that loves the comfort of the Quest because they designed this thing, they made this thing, and when they made it in their testing, like, how did it pass? Before it got to manufacturing, it would have to have some kind of minimum level of comfort. And I'm sure that Oculus slash Facebook, in all of their testing, I'm sure they discovered that for a lot of people, it's not comfortable, but they probably figured for the majority of people, it'd be okay. So there's got to be somebody out there that's like, oh yeah, Quest is beautiful. I love it. It's so comfortable. I've got no problem with it. There must be somebody, right?
Well, it works pretty good for me. I think the Rift is a little more comfortable simply because it's a little lighter. But I love the fact that this has the stretchy baseball cap style. That aspect and being able to cup this in the back takes a lot of that load off the front of the face. Another thing that I noticed just today is that there are several instruction guides on how to put this thing on your face. There's one built into it, but it's the one that's built in, the one that you can run the little video and it gives you the guide for adjusting the slider and gives you the little lines. That's the short version of the instructions. If you look on your phone for the Oculus app, there's actually a guide there under more items, I believe, and it goes into a little more detail of how to put this on your face comfortably. So maybe you should check that. I mean, one of the interesting things they mentioned is that the top strap is the last thing you adjust. These are the ones that you adjust first. The two on the sides. So you put this thing on your head, and then you adjust the two on your sides to the point where it's stuck on your head, and then you adjust the top one in order to take the load off the front of your face. They even show it tipping down as being wrong on your face. You should be up, and the strength of it should be being held by that. And hopefully that helps.
Yeah, well, if we think about just all the headsets in general that you've tried, you've owned a number of different headsets. You've also tried additional headsets as well. Mm-hmm. Of all the headsets that you've ever used, which one do you think is ultimately the most comfortable and the least comfortable?
Interesting. The least comfortable is probably the Samsung Odyssey. While that one has the best resolution, it's just so big and bulky, and I kind of feel it kind of cuts into my cheeks. So that would probably be my least comfortable. Most comfortable is probably the Lenovo Daydream. I actually have one of those. It was a 6DoF headset with a 3DoF controller. I still have it because I think that's going to become my new Plex player, because it has the baseball style, but the way it basically hangs the display in front of your face, it's really not putting any pressure on your face at all. It's got a little rubber gasket that's touching it, but like all of the weight is being held by the Halo design. And for me, it just like was hanging a screen in front of your face. I don't think it'd be very good if you had to do a lot of motion. Like if you're moving around, that thing's going to wobble. And that's not going to be any good. But if you're just watching a movie, or if you're, playing a very stationary game, that one worked out as far as like, I don't feel any pain in the front of my face. Or it's not pain, it's pressure. And pressure over time equates into pain. So
yeah. What about PlayStation VR? Like, where would you rank that from a comfort standpoint compared to these other ones?
I like it. I mean, it's pretty similar to the Lenovo. It's the same Halo deal. I honestly haven't played my PlayStation VR enough.
Yeah, you said you had a problem with it. Is it still borked right now?
Yeah, do. I have time to mess with that. Your blood and truth thing
Blood
got
and
me
Truth, though. Yeah.
kind of interested, but there's too many things on this that I
I
haven't gotten
know.
to. So
Yeah.
no,
Yeah.
it's a we're in a weird. This time last year, everybody was like, where's the monthly game that we need to go crazy for? Now we're just. It's funny how many of the old games are exciting again with the Quest. It's like things that I played and it's like, yeah, I got it. I haven't finished it. I now have it for the Quest through the cross-buy. Woot. I'm very happy. I'm
Yeah,
going,
but do you ever worry, like, well, part of me, see, the thing is, we got so many games that it's in our VR Roundtable account, and a lot of it is from like cross buys and stuff that, we
mhm.
got them a long time ago, and then now because of cross buy, bam, it's like we got this huge library of games, and then we bought a bunch of games as well. But we've got like all these games in there, and I feel like a lot of my time is spent just hopping in like Thumper, just to see like what does Thumper look like on the Quest, or
Yeah.
what does Space Pirate Trainer look like, or what does Robo Recall look like. And it's almost like you're popping into them just to kind of see how it came out. But do you really want to like play the entire game again on there? Or what has been your experience? Because it is fun to check in on them, but are you going to like literally go through the whole entire thing again?
I was surprised to find out that my sister, who has finished Thumper, she's really good into the rhythm action sort of thing. I bought her a Quest, and the one of the first things she bought for it was Thumper again. Like she played it on the go previously, and she bought it for the Quest simply because she wanted to um, play it again in this in and both of those are wireless experience. I'm like, what are you doing? There's really no difference. Why are you playing this game again? But she just felt like that's her baby, and she wanted to max it out at high level on the new device.
You know what? Wait. Before you get off of that, so I played Thumper last night actually on the Quest for the first time ever,
Mhm.
and I don't have the best things to say about it actually because the thing is, well, the feeling that I got from it is like it's Thumper. It's the same old Thumper that you've always played. I've played it on PlayStation VR. I've played it on the Rift.
Mhm.
I haven't played it on Go, but I couldn't help but think this is probably the same exact game pretty much as Go. And so like personally like that would be one where I would say, yeah, you probably don't need this on the Quest if you've already played it before. If you're
Mhm.
like a brand new gamer like say a brand new VR gamer like gaming science teacher where she's brand new, she's finally playing VR, and so all of these things are new to her. She might enjoy Thumper, but I believe it's $20, so it's not necessarily dirt cheap, So
Mhm.
maybe wait for a sale, but it was my personal experience with Thumper, just playing it last night briefly, that it's like it's the same old Thumper that you know and love, but I'm just not seeing anything particularly special about it on the Quest.
Yeah,
So
it's the exact same game. I'm
yeah.
pretty positive. The thing of it is I took her old Thumper. I upgraded her. I was like, if you want the new one, you'll have to give me your Go. So she gave me her Go. I gave her the Quest.
Oh, that's a pretty good
She put
trade.
Thumper. Yeah, I figured it would be.
It's a
I would
really
have
good
taken that
trade.
trade.
Yeah, have you played let me find this. I'm going to find a trailer cuz there's another game that I played last night for the very first time finally on the Oculus Quest. Yeah, Shadow Point.
Ah,
Shadow Point. Yeah. Finally got into this game. Have you tried that at all?
I purchased it. I have not played it yet.
Oh, okay. Okay, well, I won't spoil anything, but I just want to give like a
Thanks.
brief impressions of it.
Hmm.
So part of my problem with this game, Shadow Point, is like I wasn't expecting it to come out on Rift and Quest on the very same day. I
Hmm.
was expecting that with Dead and Buried 2. I was expecting that with Dance Central, and I'm okay with both of those. But when May 21st hit and it was like Shadow Point is out on the Rift and it's on the Quest, it was bothersome to me, man. It really bothered me because I'm like, oh, where do I play this? Because for me, I was thinking, well, I was always thinking Shadow Point is a Quest game. This is a Quest game. It's a Quest game, you know? It's unique to the Quest, and I thought a Rift version may come a few months later, but I'm going to enjoy this on the Quest. But then when I found out, you know, it's available, bam, it's already, like I could play it right now on my Rift. I was like torn. What do I do? And so what I ended up doing is just completely avoiding it, not touching it, never playing it on either platform. And then finally, last night I got back into my Quest. I was playing. I've kind of been bouncing between two different Quest accounts, which that's a real pain in the neck right there. I don't know if you've tried bouncing between accounts. You got to completely wipe your system. It's really an unfortunate little deal there. But I got back into the account where we've got all the games, and Shadow Point is in there. And so I thought, you know what? Let me fire up Shadow Point. I'm going to treat this as a Quest game. I'm going to play it on the Quest. Maybe I'll check it out later on the Rift just to see if I notice differences and stuff. But I'm really glad I'm playing it on the Quest. And you know what I got to tell you, man? I think this is one of the best Quest games I've played so far. I love it. Yeah, it is nice. I really like it. Like, this definitely thumbs up for me on this one. And it is a puzzle game, and I do have a bit of puzzle game fatigue, but this has an interesting concept, an interesting idea, the whole shadow thing, going through these different portals and seeing the different designs of the world. And you know me, man, I love like the vibe of a game. I like the music, and I get caught up in the colors, and like I'm the type of guy I could just kind of chill in a nice little area and watch the snowfall or whatever it is. And I love the like experiential aspect of it like that. And this has it in spades. It's got good music. It's got the voice of Patrick
Stewart.
Yeah, Sir Patrick Stewart. I keep thinking of him as Picard, like that's his real name. But it's got his voice in it. Although I don't know that he was that hyped when he did the voiceovers for this game. It was almost like he kind of slept walk, or I don't know. It just seemed like he wasn't like super enthusiastic about being in the voice booth in this game. But I'm really liking it, so I think you're going to enjoy it when you get around to it.
Well, I'm loving that. I'm glad to hear that. I'm glad to hear it. And the thing that you have a problem with, don't you realize that's the exact thing that we felt would be the boon? It was the dream for a long time, being able to play your PlayStation and then take your PSP or your Vita and play the same game on the bus, you know, and then it'll keep your save spot and all that stuff.
Okay, yeah, but this doesn't keep our save spot. You know, it's like, see, if they had cloud saves, see what you're talking about. Yeah, like what if you played Shadow Point on the Rift, you got to level 2, and then you went into your quest, and bam, you're exactly where you were when you left off on the Rift. But it doesn't work like that yet, although we're hoping that John Carmack and everybody else that's involved with that, maybe they can figure that out. And so in a patch or something that will come in the future, an update, firmware
they've
update.
talked about it, yeah. He's already gone on Twitter and said that was something that was coming. Understand, Anthony, we are the bleeding edge. We bought this thing time it came out, but it isn't really a device for now. It's a device for this Christmas. They're prepping for the Christmas holidays. And hopefully all these nitpicks and issues that we've run into, we're going to smooth it out for all those who will jump on in November, December of the end of the year and find a beautiful Quest sitting under the Christmas tree. We're the beta testers.
I do agree with that, but what I will counterpoint you on this is, do you remember the Oculus Go? I remember I remember John Carmack saying, yeah, we're working on expandable USB storage for the Go, and I'm not exactly using that right now.
You're not, and guess what? The Go is in their back mirror right now. The Quest is their primary focus and has always been. So, yeah, they say a lot of things, and I fully get you. Everything he says, you got to take with a grain of salt. Like when we, at OC5, he mentioned the fact that You know, it's a possibility that you could plug a cable into the Quest and use it as a PC headset for your Steam games or your full-on PC games. It's not only a possibility, they've already hacked around and done it. So the fact that this doesn't have that capability, it's intentionally being hobbled by the powers that be. They want this to be in one category and then the PC to be in another category and the movie player to be in that third category. They want the three tiers, and they're intentionally forcing it down that line. But there's absolutely no reason the Quest couldn't have been their PC offering. There shouldn't have been a Rift S. It should have been just a Quest.
Well, the argument, I mean, I'm sure somebody in Facebook would say the problem with that is maybe the actual manufacturing cost of the Quest is actually more than what we're paying right now.
Oh,
and
definitely.
they don't want somebody to just buy it and use it on Steam and then they never get any money out of it ever, because like if you could use it on PC, you might get Viveport Infinity and you're playing Game of Thrones, or whatever, and you completely bypass Oculus. That's probably their fear.
Yeah.
One thing I wanted to mention real quick is I'm running the Moss trailer. This is not the Quest trailer, but it's just a random Moss trailer. But I played Moss for the very first time in the Oculus Quest last night. I was trying to check out a few Quest games I haven't checked out for a while. I did check out Moss, and I gotta say, drop dead gorgeous, looks really, really good. You do notice, like, it's basically the Moss we know and love. The only negative thing I could say about it is when Quill is running around and she's like just standing on a ledge or something and you're looking at her pretty good, you can absolutely see like screen door all on her character. I mean, it's just, we're not out of the screen door era yet. Not that, I mean, we expect it to be or anything, but I'm not sure what resolution it's running at. But it looks great. It's awesome. It's basically the same Moss. It works good. I just wanted to mention that, but for the most part,
How does it compare to the PS4? I'm curious about that. You've played both those, right?
Yeah, I think the PS4 version, I mean, I'm on a Pro. I've been on a PS4 Pro for a long time, so I don't know how that plays in, but I think it looks a little bit better on PS4, but it's pretty darn close. Like it's basically Moss. It's running well. It's working well. And it's honestly, I mean, when you think about the Quest in general, it's got a lot of great stuff. And like one of the arguments I've made about it is I could find somebody that had an HTC Vive in 2016 and 2017, and that's all they've ever played, and maybe they know nothing about the Quest, they have no idea, and I say, hey man, I want you to check out this thing, it's called the Oculus Quest, and I could put them in Space Pirate Trainer, I could put them in Super Hot, I could put them in Beat Saber, I could put them in Moss, I could put them in Job Simulator, like all these different games that maybe they've played on their Vive. And the crazy thing is they're legitimately getting like 85, 87, 89% of the same experience. And that is freaking ridiculous that there's no computer, there's no console, it's wireless. Sure, after 40 minutes, your head is going to explode. But other than that, no.
Also, you don't have to deal with NVIDIA driver updates and whenever I turned on my VR machine, I noticed I was in update hell if I let the thing go a couple of days. I'd have to make sure that I had the latest update of everything in order to ensure that stuff was going to work right. And then, heaven forbid, if my sensors got knocked when I was dealing with the original Rift. So the convenience of this is not a thing to be forgotten. It's amazing. It's amazing what they did for $399.
It really is. Insane. And also it's like this closed platform, right? Which it makes sense that they're able to dial in Space Pirate Trainer, and they're able to dial in Super Hot, and they're able to dial in Moss, and they're able to dial in all these pre-existing games because it's a closed platform. They know that they just got to, if they can get it running right on any Quest, it's going to run right on all the Quests. And that's a beautiful thing, where with PC, you've got so many different motherboards and memory configurations and even operating system differences, just so many possible things that could go wrong. So it's such a huge advantage that they're coding to this one standard. Like even PlayStation VR doesn't have the same advantage because you've got PS4 OG and you got the Pro. And so developers kind of have to, like, they don't have a singular thing. There's no Pro Quest yet.
Yeah, but I'm sure they're looking at what's going on, and I cannot imagine Sony isn't looking at a standalone system in their future. That's probably where the next PlayStation is going to go. The PlayStation VR.
Actually, well, why don't we talk about that for just a second here? Let me grab some kind of PSVR trailer of some type. Hold on a second. But yeah, what do you think? Because we've heard some information about PlayStation. Like one of the things that we recently found out is that that the existing PlayStation VR headset that we have right now, we can use that on PlayStation 5. And so that information came out. More information came out recently that said we're not going to get PlayStation VR 2 right away. So we know that we can use our existing PlayStation VR. We know that we're not going to get a new one immediately. So we know that there's going to be this period of time where the PlayStation 5 is going to come out and you can use your existing PSVR. And so the newer one is going to come a little bit later. So we're going to wait a little bit. Could be possibly November 2021 maybe before we see PlayStation VR, because probably November of next year is PS5. What do you think Sony's going to do here? Are they just going to give us a standard PSVR 2 that's going to be meant for PlayStation 5? Or are they going to be swayed at all by this whole standalone idea? Could they possibly go hybrid and try to create some kind of hybrid that works for both? I mean, what do they do?
That's the sweet spot, isn't it? If they make a device that can stream from their PS5 and have local games that can play as a standalone and have a Knuckles-like controller scheme so you don't have to hold on to your grips, and inside-out tracking.
And the whole ball of wax. And HDR screens and
eye tracking.
Yeah.
No,
well, they can't do everything, right? I mean, see, one of the things that we're dealing with here in this modern...
Sony, they can do everything. They could...
They only do everything.
Yeah, they could totally make this device at a loss and sell it and expect people to buy it and make up for it in games because they make the games.
Okay, but wait, let me ask you. So this hybrid that we're talking about here, what kind of chip is it going to have in there?
Seeing as we don't have a date for when the thing is going to come out, it could be a chip we don't know anything about. They could be manufacturing the chip, which they've done in the past. They've worked with chip manufacturers in order to get custom things done. So, like, they can take a look at what's been going on and just, say, damn it, this is the future. Let's do this thing. Because they're currently the market leader in VR. They're the number one. So, like you love to say, somebody's eating their lunch. Are they going to allow that?
They don't want to. Yeah, they don't want somebody that. I love to say that. Yeah. It's like Apple. Like, they're protect the throne, baby, for AR. But yeah, no, I absolutely understand what you're saying. And there's no question it is a dilemma for them, because they're damned if they do, they're damned if they don't, because like if they were to just make PlayStation VR 2 be the thing that everybody expects it to be, which is it's going to work for PlayStation 5, it's not standalone, maybe it would have some kind of wireless thing where if your PlayStation 5 is within 25 feet of it, it could be wireless or something like that. That'd be awesome. We know we're going to get brand new controllers that are going to be way the F better. We know it's going to be 360 and all of that. The question, though, is the whole hybrid thing, because, I mean, you start putting like a Snapdragon 855 in there, and it has to be able to, it's got to have a battery pack in there. And, like, how do you manufacture something like that under, like, under like $600 for each one of them, and then that's not going to sell to the mass market. Maybe that's why the old PlayStation VR is going to still work. I don't. They're in a weird pickle. It is a weird pickle.
Well, remember, here's the thing. Devendra Hardawar, I think he's at Engadget. He tried out a headset that had eye tracking in it, and he claimed that your next VR headset is going to have this technology in it, and it's going to be great. Guess what? We're in that next wave of headsets, and none of them have it. There's like one, I think, there's one business model headset that has eye tracking. So there's lots of room for that future, and I think what we're seeing with the Quest, I don't think it, they've told us it, they've put on hold or pushed back where that top of the line headset is and giving us the affordable headset now. And what Sony can do with that, there's opportunities. We've already seen Valve take advantage of it. It's like, oh, okay, you're not doing the top of the line? Here it is. Here's the new top of the line for you.
One of the things Sony has to consider as well is, whatever product they do release eventually for PlayStation, like the PlayStation VR 2 that they eventually release, it's not going to exist in a vacuum. It's going to exist with other things that might be arriving in a similar time frame. For example, I believe PlayStation 5 comes next November, so November of 2020. I believe whatever their VR thing is going to be November of 2021. Is it inconceivable to think that we're going to have a Quest 2 by 2021? I don't think so. I think it's very conceivable that we might have a Quest 2. And think how much better the Quest 2 will be, and then that's even more pressure. So I don't think they can avoid the standalone. Like, I think they're either going to need to make a product that goes exactly after that, that's separate from PSVR 2, or they're going to have to make a hybrid product that works in both categories.
It's going to be interesting these next couple of years. I don't think Sony can afford to just let the Quest go. They've got to come up with a standalone offering, and why not make that standalone offering the same thing that can plug in to your PS5? I mean, do the thing that Oculus didn't do, because they do want you to stay in the PlayStation ecosystem. They want you to buy that hardware. They want you to buy a PS5, and why not leverage all the power they're going to put into that, into driving the displays of this device that works also standalone.
Yeah, why don't we talk about the Valve Index for a quick second here while I got you. Do you have one of these babies on order?
Hell no.
Oh, no. Okay, so this is one that you're going to pass on?
Yeah, at least for now. Remember I told you I'm not that rich?
Yeah, and you're buying other people Quests and shit. What are you doing?
Other family members? Yeah. Come on, I got to.
Okay, so I'm supposed to buy all my family members a Quest? I'll go broke in about 5 minutes. But have you been watching like the Valve Index information? You've been keeping up with it? Okay, that's good, because you're actually kind of an impartial bystander, I guess you could say, because you don't have a dog in this fight. You're watching it from the outside. You're looking at all the statistics and everything. And
I'm seeing your crocodile tears as things go are selling out.
As I'm in the second wave and I get boned like a mofo. Yeah, we know about that. Okay, but one of the things I was going to say, so earlier today on VR Roundtable, I know you didn't see that episode. You're gone. You're doing stuff. But we talked about all these impressions that came out this last week, all the different Valve Index impressions. You had Norm and Jeremy from Tested. They had a video on the Valve Index. Ben Kuchera from Polygon had a long article about the Valve Index. Ian Hamilton from Upload VR talked about the good one. You had this guy Hayden Dingman from PC World. I haven't even read that article yet. You got Addie Robertson from The Verge was talking about it. And then Sam Makovec from Ars Technica wrote a freaking 500-page Bible about the Valve Index. I don't know if you've seen that article, but it goes forever. But the interesting thing about all these firsthand impressions of the Valve Index is one guy says this, the other guy says that. One guy says, oh, it's got such a huge sweet spot. The other guy says, it's got a tiny sweet spot. One guy says, oh, they pretty much have eliminated God rays. The other guy says the one problem it still has is God rays. What is going on here, man? Chris, what do you think about this? Is this just a case that maybe like we just need to forget about all these reviews? Maybe you got to get your hands on every goddamn headset for yourself.
It's one of those situations like you were saying with your comfort level with the Quest. Everybody's head is different. The way it sits on their head is different. Your eyes are different. And you're going to have a different experience when you're looking through the thing. I mean, I've put headsets on people who said, no, it's fuzzy. I'm like, well, then just adjust it a little bit. Nope, still fuzzy. They never found the sweet spot. And it's just like, I can't look through their eyes. I can't tell what they're doing.
I think they're just, some of those people, like, here's what I'll tell you what they are doing. They've made up their mind that it's going to be blurry, and it's going to be blurry. You know? Like, some people make up their mind they're going to have motion sickness. Guess what? They're going to have motion sickness.
Yep.
But yeah, do you think so? But prior to hearing all this, where one guy says this, the other guy says that, I used to believe that, like, I could look at a review that's online, like maybe MRTV does a review of this, or Cass and Cherry does a review of something, and they say, oh, this is the most comfortable headset I've tried so far. And I used to feel like, okay, you can take that to the bank. This is a very comfortable headset. But now, with this Valve Index and with people, I mean, everybody's positive on it. I'm not saying anybody is negative on the Valve Index. I'm talking about the little nitpicks. Like there's disagreements with the nitpicks. And so is this a new world that we're in now where if somebody says, oh, this is the most comfortable headset I've ever tried, we can't take that for granted anymore. Like, but did you used to take it for granted? Like maybe a couple months ago, somebody would say that and you'd pretty much take it to the bank that this must be very comfortable.
Comfort is so personal. Until we get to the point where they can take a mold of your face and build the thing for you, I don't think we'll ever get to a point where everybody's comfortable with every headset.
Don't you want that? Don't you want that though, where they do take a mold and it's freaking custom fitted? You know, here's the one thing I think about that though. Okay, so you know on this Valve Index, I got the video running over there. I don't know when they're going to show it, but like it has a magnetic, you know, like the face thing is magnetic. It pops off. Yeah, kind of like that. Gasket. The face gasket just pops off there. Now, what about this, though? I could imagine this being a possible future where you have a headset and then you go to like, you go somewhere and you do get a face mask of some type and it sends the information to the place and they do a facial mold that then just snaps into the pre-existing headset. Like, they
have that little pin art thing, sort of like Darkman.
Yeah, there you go.
Suddenly
exactly.
That would be awesome, man. I'd totally sign up for that. Here's another thing about reviews of headsets that are coming out, especially high-end headsets like this. I wouldn't consider any review that doesn't include the specifications of the PC that they played it on to be worth anything. Because, like, I've got a 1080 Ti, you've got a 1080 Ti, and we both know this isn't enough to truly drive that thing at the 144 beta standard that everybody wants to check out. Like, I want to see it, sure, but, like, that's one of the reasons I was like, I'm not too interested in getting it because I'm not buying another graphics card, not for a while. That does me just fine. And one of the reasons I got kind of excited about the Rift S is I have a 1060 graphics card in my backpack, and the lowering of the specifications by putting it to 80 hertz actually gives me more life out of that backpack PC. So it's like, yeah, I'll take the limited field of view versus the other guys, and I won't get one of the things that I remember reading recently about what's the name of that it was a tech demo that became a game that the Node guys are making. Boneworks.
Yeah.
There was an article by one of the engineers working on Boneworks where he basically says they've got it working to you get 90% of what you get out of a Knuckles controller out of the touch controllers in their Boneworks demos or tests. So I was like, that made me happy. Now I can play Boneworks. Yes, I won't be able to, squeeze and get that kind of input, do anything special. But like, everybody's going to be, I think, gearing their games towards the touch controllers, and the index controllers are going to be an also ran. You'll get certain games that do those things, but not the bulk of them. So I'll be fine.
Yeah. So like when you thought about the Valve Index and supposedly it's it's like $1,000, right? If you want that full bundle.
Yeah.
But when you thought about it, you thought, no, it's really like $2,500 because you feel like a 2080 Ti is basically mandatory, pretty much, right?
I think
and that's not even
2080 Ti running an SLI is going to be mandatory.
So we don't have a video card right now that does it.
Right. Exactly.
And none of the video cards actually do SLI, like in VR, that which is kind of weird because you would think that would be a thing, right? Like I remember way before VR ever came, way before I ever even got my Vive, I thought it might be an SLI kind of a world for VR because I thought each graphics card driving each eyeball,
Makes perfect sense. Makes sense to me. It just never happened, so... Oh,
well. Okay, so you did get a Rift S, and one question I want to start you out with on the Rift S is I went to GDC, I tried a Rift S there, and one of the things that I came back raving about was comfort, the padding. It was so nice and fluffy. It was very much like a pillow, kind of that PlayStation VR style. I did say, however, though, man, a hardcore Beat Saber player or like a Creed player or Box VR or something, that thing is going to get soaked. Like especially like the back padding and everything is going to get soaked. That's going to be a problem. But did you feel like now that you've had your Rift S, is it a comfortable headset? Would you put it on the higher end of like more comfortable headsets?
Yeah, it is. It's a little bit more annoying to get in than the PSVR. And the reason for that is the mechanism that they use for putting it on your head, that dial on the back.
Yeah.
It like automatically undoes itself once you take it off. And you have to manually unscrew the thing to get it on. So that's a bit of an annoyance. But I played Robo Recall. I went back into Robo Recall for some reason as my first game to play on the Rift S, and I forgot where I was. I was playing it for so long, and I know when I'm playing a game that I love because I'll bite my lip, and like I gave myself a fat lip.
Oh my god!
Like, yep, I was in it. I was in it to win it. I was like, I'm gonna get you guys. I was just ripping off heads and playing for a long ass time, and I really think that the Rift S is perfect for my needs. It's the machine that I needed in order to complete my backpack PC situation. But I've been playing the Quest far more than it, I'll tell you that.
Okay. Well, let's stick on the Rift S just for a second here. What about like the audio and well, a number of there's three major problems that most people talk about when it comes to the Rift S. They'll talk about the audio, of course, which this is the second we knew that it didn't have legitimate headphones. Like I never considered this a problem. I just knew, you're gonna have to use headphones. Like I don't consider that a problem. I consider it an inconvenience. But I'm curious to your take on the audio question. The other problem that you hear about is some people are talking about how their headset just goes dark. So I'm curious if that's ever happened to you. And then the third thing is tracking. I'm not like a contractors onward kind of a guy. I don't know if you are, but people that do that have noticed, like, some people are like really irritated by that. So what's your thoughts on those three issues that are floating around out there?
Okay, number one, the audio deal. Um, it definitely has a situation where the highs will get crunchy. Like if it starts playing too loudly, you'll hear distortion. And I think that's what they're going to have an update to fix, because Robo Recall starts off with that Robo Recall,
Yeah,
and like all of that. I noticed it. It was like, this isn't the best.
yeah.
and
So you're using the piped in audio mostly?
yeah, but
Oh,
dude, piped in audio on the Go, the Quest, and the Rift S, uh, for me, is the way to go, because I don't want something on my head. I don't
yeah.
mind that people around me might hear what's going on, because most of the places that I'm playing, I just don't care. and
Okay, wait. One quick question though. What if you get something like Stormland or something where it's like this, it's this multi-million dollar AAA thing? Do you ever, like, for me, I would, like, for example, Vader Immortal, okay?
Mhm.
When I was going to play Vader Immortal, I didn't have my headphones on at first. And I was like, oh, wait, hold on. Let me get my headphones because I want the real experience. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Like, so, but are you just, you're okay with that piped in audio, or is it like you've played the game already so it's okay? But like if you got Stormland, would you just use the piped in audio, or would you be reaching for those headphones to try to get that AAA experience?
This is a new set of headphones, and this part of it actually comes off.
Okay.
So I thought of that as a consideration, and when I was playing Vader Immortal this morning, I was playing with the headphones on because
Okay.
girlfriend's sleeping.
Yeah.
So
So it
there
wasn't
are
about the
situations.
AAA-ness of it.
No, it's just the practicality of it. With I'm hoping that they do improve the sound, because like the sound being piped to your ears is set up a little differently on the S. It's actually coming from above instead of straight through the channel. And you can actually see like there's a mesh over the end where it's just an open air on the Go. And I haven't actually looked at what they did here. Um, yeah, it's just an open slot on this. So like there's definitely something different going on in the audio setup of the Rift S than the other two devices, which everyone has reported sound better. So I'm hopeful that they do improve it. It's good enough to get by, and I can always turn to the headphones if there's something that like just isn't doing it for me. Like I mean, when you play Beat Saber, it actually comes up with a message saying "best played with headphones." So they're aware of it. They know what's going on.
Yeah, yeah. What about the tracking thing? Everything's been fine on the tracking front?
The tracking front. Um, Funny, both of them. If I put my hands down to my side, the tracking gets lost. And in some games, that means it goes off somewhere. Like I noticed this primarily in, I saw it a little bit in Vader Immortal. If I put my hands down by my sides, you know, the tracking can't see my hands, and my hands will move like off to the right. Um, it's really bad, and I've seen nobody mention this. It's really bad in Journey of the Gods.
Mm.
Journey of the Gods does this weird thing where I think it's the coders intentionally made it so that if tracking gets lost, your hand spins and a pointer comes off. They're like trying to give you a heads up of, hey,
Oh.
move your hands back into the view. And to me, that's annoying. I much rather it just lock down and suddenly all it will do is, rotate in wherever the position is. And when it comes back into view, it moves into view. But that's not how they decided to code that game. Try Journey of the Gods and move it out of your view and see what happens, because it's an annoyance.
Mm.
and
Yeah,
and
I
it's
could
a
imagine.
choice. It's a choice.
Okay, so so the Rift S has worked out pretty well, but you're saying that you play a lot. You've been playing the Quest more.
Mhm.
So what has been your jam on the Quest? Like, what are you going into primarily? Is there any game that you've played from start to finish through on the Quest, or is there something that you're primarily playing, or what's going on over there?
Um, I've been just trying to experiment and actually showing people it more than I have been playing it.
Oh, okay.
Um, I actually live streamed
Have you taken it to a
myself.
park yet? And ran
No,
around.
no, I have not taken it to a park. I did take it to my to the Leominster Public Library and gave a demo. Had two quests, a Rift S, two goes, and the Daydream headsets.
Dang, you
And
got a mobile arcade.
yeah, yep. I had it all in a piece of luggage that I dragged in, and
Wow.
they had this huge room that had artwork along the edges. I was able to map out a guardian for both of the quests, and here's something I came across: the maximum limit. I guess it's 25 feet by 25 feet.
Oh, okay.
Um,
You can go
because
into developer mode though, and turn
and
that
just
off.
turned it
Yeah,
off.
yeah,
But that means you have no guardian
yeah, yeah,
whatsoever, and people can run into each other.
yeah,
Now, I wanted to map out the guardian and ran into the maximum limit because I couldn't map. I was going to cut the room in half so that
yeah.
two people could play without, um, bothering each other. And they actually ended up being smaller because this was a giant room. Very cool. I wish my library was like the Leominster Public Library.
Do you
But in,
think? Oh, wait, real quick question, just because you mentioned that. Do you think when we get to like Quest 2,
Mhm.
that eventually these quests are going to be able to communicate with each other, like through some kind of like wireless communication, where if you did have a situation like what you're talking about, you would actually see the other player, so you wouldn't collide with them? Like if they were actually like had some kind of local ad hoc communication from quest to quest, where like you have this map, you have your play area mapped out for quest A, you have your play area mapped for quest B, and the overlap, like they're communicating with each other in some kind of way where when another quest person comes into the picture, like you actually will see them somehow or something.
Yeah, have you not seen the video of a game that's in development where two guys are walking around an office building and the office building has been mapped out like in their game? In their view, they're in a sci-fi corridor and they see another space marine. Basically, this is happening. This game
Oh,
is in development and coming out soon. You haven't seen that video? It's really cool. They're like
no,
walking
no.
around their offices and down
On the
hallways
quest?
on the quest.
But
Yeah.
how is the other person being represented? Like how is
You see him as an avatar. You see him just as a 3D character.
is the other person on a quest themselves,
Yep,
or
they're both on
oh,
Quest and they're both playing the same game and they're both in the same world.
that's really interesting. Yeah, I think I saw that video was like on the Oculus subreddit,
Hmm.
and I forgot, I didn't never ended up clicking on it and looking
Click
at
on
it,
that,
but
baby. Your dream is coming true.
well, it's coming true in a non-sanctioned mode that you got to freaking sign a waiver for or something like that.
No,
But
I think this is going to be a legitimate. They didn't make the launch window, but they've been working. They said they've been working on this game, and they couldn't tell you about it, and now they're showing what it was that they were working on.
huh,
So
interesting.
that's happening. The interesting thing about the location based experience they had with Dead and Buried, and the reason that's not available for us to use, is because I asked them about it. It's like, hey, how do I get this? um, it was not using the quests to pair that kind of information. It was using a PC that was serving the map and the
Ah,
locations and all that data to each quest. And that's how
weird.
location based scenarios are going to work. Like you're going to have a server that's sending out all the data to everybody and it's fast enough to keep it, in line. And what's cool about that was it did that one thing you don't get playing Vader Immortal. It gave you that one-to-one mapping of stuff that's in the world to the virtual world. So like if you saw a hay barrel you could lean against the hay barrel and like shoot somebody because like there was a box there that you could physically lean against, and it mapped it out.
Yeah, yeah.
So that's the super exciting future that we have coming. But like, the I think the one that you saw the video for, that's the one we'll get sooner than the other, because they were mapping out what's here's another thing that's interesting about the Quest that I thought worked but doesn't quite. They said you could map different rooms
And it would remember it and all that, yeah.
and that you could move from room to room, like see the other one over there. Well, I have a big area in my kitchen and a big area in my living room, and both of these rooms are relatively close. If I go to map one and try to map the second one, it'll delete the first one. So, there's tweaks coming. That's why I feel we're the beta testers.
Yeah, I mean, well, it's why I feel like Quest 2 and Quest 3 are going to be the real deal, because they'll have learned so much more.
Yeah.
One of the things we were talking about, actually, this was before we did this show. Why don't we talk about this for a quick second? Because I do believe one of the major issues that is like a dark cloud that is hanging over the Quest's head is this idea that you go to a birthday party, right? You bring a Quest, Beat Saber, baby, but nobody can see what you're doing, And so, yeah, I know Chromecast, blockchain. But the thing about Chromecast, well, Beat Saber is kind of an anomaly because I guess you can't do it anyway, like it's prohibited. But let's just pretend it wasn't. When you do try to stream it, the video is kind of craptacular. The audio is jacked up if you've even got audio, or it's out of sync, it's delayed. You don't think this is like, I think this is a major, major, major problem. Now, you've said this isn't that big of a problem because the Quest is still a revolutionary thing. You can tell somebody, look, this is $399. You can go to Walmart and you can buy this whole package in one box. It's revolutionary. But I still feel like the fact that you can't easily show somebody on a TV, I feel like that's a problem.
It's not meant to be a presentation device. I mean, it does it, sorta, but like, their Go version of Plex worked. Sorta. Everything had beta labeled on it, and the fact that your Go would overheat was like, an aspect that they left out of the marketing of the application. This is another one of those deals where like it's doing a lot to make this work just for you. Being able to show that for someone else is almost above and beyond what should be expected out of.
But they could have a screen right on the front.
in the front.
Yeah, in the front on Quest 2.
Yes. I mean, I just for what we're getting for what we're paying, man, I'd pay it twice over, and I have because now I can play Rec Room with my sister any old time, and that's pretty cool because we're 3,000 miles from each other.
Yeah, no, I love the Quest. Despite all my comfort issues, I love it because you know what? I could take it to any room in my house and I'm up and running in 2 minutes. Like, that is beautiful. That is such a beautiful thing. We're going to get this update where, like, you can't use it in the dark right now, but we're going to get an update. So, like, if you're just laying in your bed, you just want to watch Netflix or whatever, that update is coming. So that's good news. And
an update that they've never done, and I'm curious as to why this is. There's never been a travel mode update, something that locks out the positional tracking so that you can play a game if you're on a plane.
Oh, yeah, or in a moving car or something.
Yeah. I mean, why not? I think that exists on the Daydream. I think there's an option for travel mode, is what it's called. Why the heck wouldn't the Quest have that?
Yeah. The one thing I haven't done, like the stationary mode where it just wraps you in a small little
cylinder?
Yeah, don't you wish that cylinder was maybe like a little bit wider, Because it's like, I hate it, because I'll tell you what, the thing that really bothers me is I don't want to see my Guardian ever. Like, I really don't want to see it. And so I map out these huge ass spaces and I try to stay right in the middle because I don't even want to see it for a split second. And yeah, it's kind of bothersome.
Well, you know what you can do, Anthony? Get that rug thing that you can tell when you're walking off it. Just turn the Guardian off and you're good to go. If you feel yourself getting off the rug, stop.
Yeah. No, that's actually a great idea. And the rug idea is a great idea because you can make it where it's almost like a warning track. You know what I mean? Like in baseball, do you know, like in baseball, the reason why it's dirt when you get close to the outfield fence,
so people don't run into the damn fence.
Yeah, and the fielder is looking up at so the fielder doesn't know what's going on with his feet, but the second his foot hits the dirt, he knows that's a warning track, which is kind of like in VR, we're kind of blind, we're blinded as well, right? I mean, he's blinded because he's looking for the ball. And, but yeah, if you have a rug that would be the right dimensions where you step off of it, like in 2 feet you're about to hit a wall or whatever, it gives you that extra bonus. That is a great idea. And circular rugs actually is a really good idea because then, if you have the very center of the circle perfectly at the center of your play space, then you can kind of like know to get back to the middle.
Yep, I love the fact that love it, and I'm surprised that they made it so easy to put the thing in developer mode and turn off the Guardian, because you would think that's lawsuit. But...
Oh my God, I know. I can't believe, dude. I remember the early days of Oculus. I didn't think they would ever have room scale, man. You could probably find old shows of mine where I was like, Facebook is scared to death of lawsuits and da-da-da. Like, I'm amazed that they've not only embraced, like they've accepted room scale, they've embraced it, and like they're allowing this crazy ass so far.
Well, they saw Valve eating their lunch, my friend.
I'm going to knock on this wood right here. I got some wood down here. I'm going to knock on it because knock on wood, man, nobody has bit the bullet yet. And that's not something I'm looking forward to, but God damn it, it seems almost inevitable, right? You know, somebody's going to get...
Did you see Remarculous's video?
I heard about it. I haven't seen it where he gets hit by a car or something, but it's like a stage deal. Yeah.
It's pretty good.
Yeah. I should check that out.
As good as Meet Joe Black.
Yeah, somebody should do one where a guy is like playing in a field, right? Like, I've got an idea for one. A guy's playing in a field, doing freaking backflips and stuff, and then all of a sudden a tractor comes along, and then you don't see the guy anymore, and then like just red splotches are splashing in the air as like a funny video. I think it'd be great.
Someone on ice with a Zamboni.
Yeah. And then you just see a splat when it's done. Like, they go to it and the guy splat. Yeah, it's pretty awesome. I'm really enjoying the Quest. What about like going back to like PC VR? Has there been any recent PC VR releases that you've picked up that you've been enjoying lately? Like anything that's come out in the last couple of weeks or anything, or months?
Well, I picked up that underwater one.
Oh, Freediver.
Haven't had a chance to actually play it, but
wait, Chris,
the price was right.
The rules are, the stipulation is, what are the rules, Chris?
I break that rule every goddamn time.
Dude, you got to play it 20 minutes that day. That's the requirement. It'll save you so much money. It really will.
Yeah, I've been really bad with my money, so it doesn't really matter now, does it?
But yeah, you buy all these things on deals. So are you one of these guys that has like 700 games in Steam, like main fan? Oh my God.
Yep.
Yeah.
If I find a deal, I'm a bargain hunter. It's one of those deals. If it's cheap and I ever had an interest in it, it's like I might find some board. When I look for those downtimes. When
You're a collector. I'm looking behind you. You got shelves of like old classic PC games and classic PC boxes and stuff.
No, those are board games.
Oh, board games. Okay. Yeah. Oh, so you're a hardcore board game guy. Actually, wait, real quick. This will be the last little topic we cover. Let's go to Tilt 5, baby. Do I have my Tilt 5 trailer? Let me see if I can find it.
That is the reason I was interested in Cast AR, dude. I almost backed Cast AR when it was a Kickstarter. because
Okay.
of its board game implementation.
Yeah, so you're a board game guy, and
Yeah.
so Tilt 5, which is the rebirth, if you would, of Cast AR, and I'm running the video now. I don't think it's delayed for you, right? Because or
Nope. I can see it
you can see
exactly
it.
as you.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool. And looking at this video, I mean, I will say that this does look impressive because one of the things I like about it is they have 3D coming up out of the table, but they also got 3D where it's like you're going into the table. So they're doing two different styles of 3D. They show like this dungeon crawling game right here is like going down into it. They also show like old classic arcade games that you're almost playing like on a tabletop arcade. They've got a lot of like that looks like a Smash TV game right there. There's like a Space Invaders type game. They've got a lot of interesting stuff going on. The question though is like wires and computers, like those are my questions.
Yep.
I'm like looking at all of this and I'm like, this is all great, but how does it all work? Where do the wires go? How does all that
you
work?
have the PC under the table, and the wires come up to each of the four positions that the
Yeah,
players
you
play.
get a power drill, you drill a hole right through your antique table, you run the wire right up through there for each of the four headsets.
But there are gamer tables now, right?
Yeah.
There are people who slide flat screen TVs into the table inlet and play on. They put their map up there and they play D&D on the display. That
Hey,
games go to all sorts of crazy lengths.
what's the place that people go to? It's like Games Workshop or something. Like they have them in all the little strip malls and stuff, and you can get these little figurines and you paint them, and like they're playing on these gigantic. What game is that?
Warhammer and Warhammer 40K. There are two games that they make.
Okay. Do you do that? Do you do that?
Hell no. That's like a money pit.
Oh, really? Never ending money pit?
Yes, without a doubt, because they constantly update the codexes. So you're buying books, and then you're buying miniatures.
What
and
if
then
you just want to stay behind? What if you just want to
to
stay behind? You can't do that?
Well, everyone else has to stay behind with you, and that's the problem. If you want to play in tournaments, you got to update.
What if you just have like 7 broke friends? All of you guys stay back in 1998 with it.
There is nothing keeping you from doing that, and nobody does. It's just
Okay, but do you think they'll like do a partnership with these people? Like, could they make a much bigger mat? And then you have like 8 people around a table, and then the wires get crossed. No. See, that's
when Cast AR was first announced, it wasn't a mat. It was like a drapery. It was like you actually threw this throw over the table, and you could hang it on the wall, and then you got a portal into another world up on the wall. They found. She had a very interesting story about how this all came about when she was working at Valve. It was like they just happened to look through, like the material was hanging over something, and they looked through the viewfinder and saw the hint to what this could be, and that led their development.
So the one beautiful thing about this whole deal is the price. Like, that's the beautiful part about it, because like the cast. See, I didn't know what the prices of this stuff was.
I still don't. Please, and give me the deal.
Okay, well, I don't know the exact price of this, but like the Cast AR price was like, I think it was like $300 or maybe a little bit less than that, and you would get the mat and you'd get 1 goggles and 1 controller, and then like if you wanted to buy additional goggles, like maybe another 140 for each of the additional goggles. But it just seemed like oh, okay, for a couple $100 you could be doing some AR stuff, and then you got to buy another headset. Now the downside is you've got to, like, what is actually powering each person's glasses? And so, like, is it a laptop? Is it a PC? Can a PC power 2 glasses? Can it power 3 of them? Can it power 4 of them at a time? Because, see, I kind of felt like this thing is kind of dead in the water if it's 1 laptop for 1 pair of glasses.
No, I don't think that's the case.
Okay, you don't think so? See, I don't know.
I don't know either, but like I remember the development kits that they were planning on selling, and I believe it was all tied to one machine. Uh, I remember AR isn't quite as taxing as VR is because you're not rendering the whole screen. Um, you're just
But this
rendering
is
elements.
almost like you're rendering a screen that's just sitting on a table, pretty much.
Right.
Um, but okay, so in real, right, has those little AR goggles that are going to be $500. Those little glasses. I don't know if you like they look kind of cool, like the Magic Leap
Hmm.
guys. I
Hmm.
mean, competitors to Magic Leap and HoloLens, but not as good. But they've got these in real ones. They're coming out later for like $500. And now that you can use a USB-C cable, and if you have a smartphone that has a Snapdragon 855, which means you got to have a banging ass smartphone, like top of the line Rhine. But
Hmm.
if you do, then your smartphone could just be in your pocket or whatever. You got a wire that's just going to it. And so I could, like, I don't know, could this run off individual smartphones that each have a Snapdragon 855? Then I could conceivably see four people sitting around a table. Their smartphones are sitting there. They got the little wire running to their headset. See, what I want to play is Risk. That's the board game I like. Now that's kind of like Monopoly and checkers for you. Like you're playing these advanced board games that have like really deep mechanics to them. I'm talking about something real simple here. But, I used to do that. We used to play Risk and we'd play for a couple of hours and, everybody tries to get Australia, and everybody tries to get Kamachka for the back door to North America and, you're rolling your dice and stuff. But I could kind of imagine four people sitting around a table and if they all had really strong cell phones, you could connect those and it wouldn't be, you won't have so many wires going so many different places. But I just the biggest question I have with this whole thing is just I want to see it like actually happening and see where all the wires going. Where's the computer? That's what I want to know.
That's a great question. I haven't been keeping up on it, so I'm excited to see what comes of it. But I'll have you know, I'm not a gaming snob. I've played some of the simplest games in the universe, Anthony. Like,
Candyland?
not that simple, but the Code Names, which is a huge party game, is little more than Password. If you remember that TV show, that TV game show, Password, where you're trying to figure out the word and the other person is giving clues, and it's a huge hit. It sells all over the place. Um, on the gaming tip, Sony has done this already, and it pisses me off that
Oh
they're
yeah,
not taking
yeah.
advantage of
Wonder
it.
Book or whatever.
No, no, not Wonder
Oh.
Book. Wonder Book. No, the Eye of Judgment. Do you
Oh
remember
yeah, yeah.
that
Eye
one?
of Judgment. Yeah, yeah.
Eye of Judgment, man. They've got that already. It
They
exists.
were ahead of their time.
Yeah. All they have to do is make it work in VR. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
It's
Interesting.
Yep. There's lots of interesting things going, and this is going to be a very interesting year. I'm hoping that the 50 games that we got, where like a lot of them were just ports of older games that they knew were solid, I'm hoping that does not peter out. And for the Christmas season, we're going to get 50 more, but they're going to be some of the things they left off because they were afraid. That's my guess. Like they didn't want any shooters in that first lineup other than Dead and Buried 2
Yeah.
because they didn't want people going, look at this thing, it's a murder simulator. And there are some other games that are coming down the pike that that look interesting, but I want more stuff like Journey of the Gods because that for me was something completely new, and having a blast playing it.
Yeah, and I hope they space your stuff out, man. Let it live on the Quest for three, like give it the 90-day love. 90 days on the Quest before it ever comes to Rift. I know this, but people like okay. So you were arguing way earlier in the show, like why do I care about this? So here's the difference. It's like if you happen to know that A Fisherman's Tale is coming to PlayStation VR, it's coming to Rift, it's coming to Vive, it's coming like these games come out and they're on every single platform on day one. If you know that way in advance, I feel that that's way different than when you don't know and then it comes out to multiple platforms on the same day and then you're like, damn, where do I play this? I was thinking it was a Quest game. Maybe it's just like my own OCD kind of a thing.
It's a freedom thing. You want it to come out on both, and especially if it's got cross-buy. If it's cross-buy and you don't have to buy it on each one and you don't have that decision to make, that's awesome. Because if I'm home and I've got the thing set up and I
But where do you play it, though? Where do you play it?
Wherever I want, then.
Oh, well, yeah, if it can transfer anywhere else, yeah. Well, see, if what you were talking about of the saves following you, like that dream, like you play Shadow Point on your Rift and you're into level 3, and then you turn on your Quest and you're in level 3. Like, that's a great idea. And if that does come, that would alleviate a lot of it right there, because it would be nice. But what about this, though? Doesn't the Quest need to have, like, can something have an identity if it has no exclusives whatsoever?
Yes, because the fact that it doesn't have a cable makes it an exclusive. Playing Super Hot on a Quest, forever. Playing Super Hot on the Quest is the best way to play Super Hot.
Yeah, but what about when there's like 10 different standalones out there and the Quest is just another one of them?
Oh, I see. That's what you meant by for now. Yeah, but like right now, I don't see any of those other guys getting the price down except for Sony. Sony could do it. Yeah. Sony could do it tomorrow if they really wanted to. But I think Quest they took their time making this baby, and it's going to pay them off. They've hit the jackpot. They hit the lottery, and it's raining money now. And I can only hope that everyone gets on board and there's more to come.
Yeah, no, it's a beautiful thing. I'm excited for it. We haven't had a new release yet. We've just had but I kind of like that they're letting the launch games. We've got enough launch stuff. We don't necessarily need a brand new release right now. So I think maybe mid-June, maybe a couple games start trickling out, and then they slowly start trickling out, and then we might have a second wave of software that comes a little bit later this year.
Have you tried Pavlov?
No, I haven't sideloaded it or any. I haven't done that yet.
Do it. Do it. It's really eye-opening. It's amazing that you can play Pavlov multiplayer right now for free.
That's crazy.
It works.
I should try it. I should try it.
And the guy is updating it all the time. I tried getting the custom songs for Beat Saber to work, and that's just failing on me every time. I get to 97%. And then it fails to do whatever it is it's trying to do. So, we have a toy to play with. There's the official games that we can play, and then there's all these other experiences that you can just add in and check out. So,
well, what I am looking forward to is when they bring Doom and Quake and stuff on the Quest, but where it's real 6DoF, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. That's kind of cool because people they got Quake running on the go, right? Mm-hmm. But I don't think it has. But obviously not 6DoF, right? And so
Dead and Buried is kind of Quake, isn't it?
Kind of, but I mean, I like the actual single player game of Quake, the actual original Quake. I'm a single player guy. Most people talk about Unreal. When I talk about Unreal, I'm talking about the 1998 Unreal that was a freaking single player game. I love that shit. You were in a prison and flashing lights and stuff.
You'll love Pavlov then. You've got bots. They're right there, and you can play them. And it's just a flip of a switch to go online and have other people like MameFan in there going, ha, 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 ha.
Yeah, he'll be killing me good. I got to try that, though. I haven't done any, I haven't sideloaded nothing. I've never tried to sideload anything. So
it's not that difficult. Just follow the instructions. It works great.
Yeah.
The only one that's not working for me, and it must be something I'm doing wrong, is the Beat Saber thing. So I'm going to bang on that after this, and I'll let you know if I get it to go.
Okay. All right, well, we're going to go ahead and wrap up this interview. It is starting to get hot. I am in Sacramento, California. It is starting to heat up. You're in LA, right?
Yep.
It's not quite as hot as Sacramento, but you guys get pretty hot too. We're starting to get
overcast.
Well, we're going to get into the dog days of summer in not too long, and it's going to be like, damn, because we were enjoying the winter of VR. It's like, I prefer cold. I can always warm myself up. Oh man, your screen's moving all over the place.
I'm a ghost.
Yeah,
I'm taking over the show.
Your screen's popping all over the place. But yeah, so we're going to go ahead and bounce out of here. And once again, just apologies for this whole setup here, but we improvised. What's the phrase? It was like from some movie, like Marines don't do this, they improvise or something. I forget, it was some movie a long time ago. Marines don't die, they improvise or something like, I don't know what it was, something like that, but it was a really good quote. But basically that's what we did because YouTube is down. I don't know if it's still down, but it was down when we were doing this. And so we just thought, hey, let's record this offline. I'm just recording the video and then I'm going to upload this like an old school video from way back in the days. No live streaming, unfortunately no chat. But Chris Richardson, thanks so much for joining me today. I truly appreciate it. I love having you on because you're always Mr. Positivity. You're always looking at the bright spots. You're like, push those negative things off to the side. Let's focus on the positives, which is that's a great way to do it, man. That's the way to live your life, honestly. It really is.
It's been a pleasure. Thank you for having me, Anthony. Always available if you need me.
All right. So anyway, guys, that's going to go ahead and do it for this episode of VR 365. Tomorrow, hopefully YouTube will have recovered and we'll have a regular show. And I'll see you guys then. So everybody take it easy. Later.